Is your online business growing slower than you hoped? Are you putting in the hours, but the results just aren't reflecting your effort? There's a powerful, often invisible force at play that could be holding you back, and it's called ignoring compound growth. But don't worry, because in this video, I'm going to show you how to finally understand and unlock its incredible potential to transform your business. We're about to dive deep into the concept of compound growth. And I'm not just talking about dry formulas and complicated charts. I'm going to break down the real, practical way compound growth works in your business and your life. We'll explore why consistent effort is absolutely key. We will also discuss how to truly understand compound growth beyond the surface level, and most importantly, how to find a personalized approach that fits you and keeps you genuinely motivated. So stick with me, because understanding this concept is a game changer for anyone serious about long-term success. Now, in today's fast-paced business world, it's easy to get caught up in the hype of overnight success stories and viral trends. We're constantly bombarded with promises of instant results. But the reality is, lasting, meaningful growth rarely happens in a flash. Think about the things that truly matter in business: building a strong brand that people trust, developing deep and loyal customer relationships, mastering valuable skill that sets you apart. These are all things that take time, dedication, and you guessed it, consistent effort. And that's exactly where the magic of compound growth comes in. It's the simple yet profound principle that small, consistent actions repeated over time lead to truly exponential results. It's about building a solid foundation, brick by brick, rather than chasing fleeting moments of fame. Understanding and harnessing compound growth is absolutely crucial because it fundamentally shifts your focus. It moves you away from the trap of instant gratification and directs you towards long-term impact. It's about creating something truly sustainable and, dare I say, magical. And speaking of magic, you might be wondering, how does this compound growth actually work in practice? Well, let's unpack that right now and get into the actionable steps you can take. Have you ever looked back and been genuinely surprised by how far you've come? Maybe you've started learning a new skill like coding or a new language. And for weeks, even months, it felt like you were hitting a wall, making zero progress. Then seemingly out of nowhere, it clicks. Suddenly you realize you can actually do it. You can understand the code, you can hold a conversation. That, my friends, is the sudden realization phenomenon, and it's a classic example of compound growth working its invisible magic in the background. All those hours of practice, even when you felt stuck and frustrated, or quietly accumulating, building momentum beneath the surface. This is such a powerful source of motivation because it reminds us that even when you don't see immediate progress, you have to trust that your consistent effort is building something real and substantial. And to really understand this invisible magic, let's break down exactly what compound growth is and how you can visualize it. Think of compound growth like a snowball rolling down a hill. Imagine a crisp, snowy day and you start with a tiny little snowball. At first it's small, almost insignificant, and it moves slowly. You might barely even notice it moving. But as it rolls, something amazing happens. It starts to gather more and more snow, clinging to its surface. It gets bigger, and as it gets bigger, it starts rolling faster and faster. The bigger it becomes, the more snow it picks up and the faster it grows. It's a beautiful accelerating cycle. Similarly, in your business, your initial efforts can feel just as small and insignificant as that starting snowball. Writing that first blog post, making a few sales calls, sending out those initial emails, they might not feel like they're making a huge impact right away. But here's the key. Each action builds upon the last. Just like compound interest in finance, where you earn interest not only on your initial investment, but also on the interest you've already earned. Compound growth in business means your efforts today amplify your results tomorrow and the day after that, and so on. It's this compounding effect that leads to truly remarkable exponential growth over time. But here's a critical point to remember. Compound growth isn't a rigid one-size-fits-all formula that you just plug into. It's much more personal than that, and finding your own way to harness it is essential. You absolutely don't need to become obsessed with tracking every single metric or forcing yourself into some rigid, inflexible system if that's just not your style. In fact, for many people, that kind of approach can be restrictive and actually demotivating. Some people genuinely thrive on detailed spreadsheets, daily targets, and meticulous tracking, but others find that completely draining and unsustainable. The real secret is to find your personalized path. Experiment with different approaches and strategies until you discover what truly resonates with you. Maybe you prefer setting weekly intentions and focusing on key themes rather than being tied to a daily to-do list. Perhaps you find it more valuable to track your progress qualitatively, focusing on how you feel about your work. Focus on the value you're genuinely creating and the positive impact you're having rather than just numbers on a screen. The most important thing is to just really listen to your own intuition. If a particular strategy feels draining, inauthentic, or like a constant uphill battle, it's very unlikely to be sustainable for you in the long run. Remember, compound growth works best and it works most powerfully when it's fueled by genuine engagement, intrinsic motivation, and even, dare I say it, enjoyment. And that brings us to a really crucial element, finding the joy in the process itself. This is where so many people miss a vital piece of the puzzle. If you're only laser focused on the end result, the big payoff, the massive success, the destination, you're very likely to burn out long before you ever get there. The reality is the journey itself, the daily process, is where compound growth truly takes root and flourishes. Each day, each task you complete, each small win you celebrate genuinely contributes to the larger picture, even if you can't see it all coming together just yet. When you actively cultivate fulfillment in the daily work, when you find yourself learning new things and genuinely enjoying the problem-solving and creative aspects of your business, something amazing happens. Motivation becomes intrinsic. It starts to come from within you rather than relying on external pressures or fleeting bursts of inspiration. And that kind of internal motivation is incredibly powerful and, most importantly, sustainable over the long haul. Always remember, constant learning and skill development is its own reward. Every challenge you overcome, every new skill you master, every bit of knowledge you gain adds to your overall growth as an entrepreneur and as a person, even if it's not immediately reflected in your bank account. And speaking of the long haul, this brings us to the final and perhaps the most important mindset shift you need to embrace. To truly harness the power of compound growth, you absolutely must embrace the long game. Think of it this way. Compound growth is a marathon, not a sprint. Patience and persistence are not just virtues in this game. They are your greatest allies. There will inevitably be times, and probably many times, when you feel discouraged, when progress seems agonizingly slow or even non-existent. That's completely normal. Every entrepreneur, every successful person experiences these moments of doubt. But in those moments, you have to consciously choose to trust the process. Keep showing up, keep learning, keep putting in the consistent effort, even when you don't see those immediate, visible results you crave. You have to remind yourself that the invisible power of compound growth is working, even when you can't directly see it with your eyes. Have unwavering faith that your consistent efforts compounded over time will eventually blossom into something truly remarkable, something you can be incredibly proud of. But before you rush off to implement all of this, it's crucial to be aware of some common mistakes that can derail your compound growth journey. Let's take a look at some pitfalls to avoid so you can learn from others' experiences and stay on the right track. It's surprisingly easy to stumble and lose your footing on the path of compound growth, especially when you're just starting out. One of the most common mistakes and perhaps the biggest obstacle is simple impatience. In our instant gratification culture, it's natural to want quick results. But wanting those quick wins can often lead to abandoning effective strategies way too soon, often just before they're about to truly compound and take off. Another significant pitfall is solely focusing on metrics and external validation. This is while completely ignoring the crucial element of joy in the process, which we talked about earlier. This kind of relentless, numbers-driven approach is a surefire recipe for burnout and unsustainable effort that turns your passion into a chore. Comparing yourself can be incredibly demotivating and distract you from your own path. And finally, and perhaps most obviously, lack of consistency is a major roadblock that will completely undermine your efforts. Sporadic effort, bursts of intense activity followed by periods of inaction will only yield sporadic, unpredictable results. Compound growth, as we've discussed, thrives on consistent, even small, actions taken regularly and persistently over time. So actively avoid these common pitfalls by consciously cultivating patience, refocusing on the joy of the process, running your own race at your own pace, and above all else, staying consistently committed to your chosen path. So let's bring it all together. Remember this. The invisible power of compound growth is absolutely real and it's within your reach. It's fundamentally about consistent effort, actively finding joy in the journey itself, and trusting your own unique path, even when you can't see the immediate destination. It's definitely not about overnight success or viral explosions. It's about intentionally building something truly lasting and deeply meaningful. one consistent step at a time. Your consistent efforts, even when they feel unseen and unacknowledged, are quietly accumulating, building momentum, and they will eventually compound into remarkable results. So embrace the process, experiment to find what truly works for you, listen to your intuition, and trust your instincts. What's one small, consistent action you can take today, right now, to start actively leveraging the power of compound growth in your business or project? Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. And if you found this video helpful and insightful, give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more motivational insights and practical strategies for sustainable growth. Now go out there and build something truly amazing, one step at a time.